All right, good day, everyone. Thank you for joining today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I will be your teacher today. I am presenting to you live from beautiful west coast of Canada, British Columbia. Before I get going, I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me and see me okay. Can everybody hear me and see me okay right now? If somebody can just write for me in the stream that this sound is okay. All right, sounds good. And it looks like there's a good number of you watching. We missed yesterday's class. Sorry about that. We had some technical issues with one of our camera drivers, but we are doing these classes regularly. So if you miss a class, don't worry. The classes are live. We do fix the problems. That's great. Okay, so today we're looking at IELTS reading in the lesson. The lesson is coming from www.aehelp.com, which is academicenglishhelp.com. You will see that website in a few minutes. And we are covering IELTS reading passage 3, so it's a little bit more of a difficult reading passage that we're looking at today. You can look in the stream description for the questions, okay? So the questions for this reading will be in the stream description. We are using some new technology in today's class. I will be projecting the reading passage behind me in a few moments, so we'll get there. For those of you who are having your exam this weekend, good luck on your exam, okay? We are cheering for you, and I hope you get an awesome score. All right, so before we get into the reading passage, I just want to review a couple of important points with you. First, let's talk a little bit about vocabulary. Does anybody who watches these classes regularly remember how many new words should you be learning for IELTS each day? So how many new words should you be learning for IELTS every day? Ankit, nice to see you in class. Yeah, 3 to 5, guys. Excellent. Roughly about 5 words. For adults, 5 words is realistic. When we're 3 years old, 4 years old, we can learn up to 50 words a day, 50. But as we get older in life, we have many more things to learn than just speaking, and our brains work differently. So 3 to 5 words is about the average for an adult that they can learn efficiently or effectively that they can use. Okay, so today I'm going to choose the vocabulary because it will be important for today's reading. Okay, Sandeep, if you're learning 10 words a day, you have to be very careful. It's important that when you learn vocabulary, you don't just understand it, but you can use it as well. Okay, so one word that we will see today that's important is the word mortgage. Does anybody know the definition of the word mortgage? So again, you need to do this at home. You need to have a vocabulary book. It should be a small little book that you can put in your pocket or in your purse so you can study it when you're going around and out and about. So these are the steps for effective vocabulary learning. What is the definition of the word mortgage? Yep, we're talking about home mortgage. It is a type of agreement, Ritu, you're right. What kind of agreement is it? So it's a noun, right? Let's give the word form. It's a noun. What kind of an agreement or what kind of bond is it? Usually, what is it used in? What kind of situation? Yeah, it's a financial agreement. To pay money for a home or land purchase. It's basically a type of loan, okay? Anytime you see the word morgue, it actually means to do with life, like we're mortal, we're humans. We live, we die, so we're mortal. A mortgage is actually, the old definition is a death contract. But in modern day, we use it to mean a financial agreement to pay money for a home or land purchase. So when you're buying a house or you're buying land, you can get a mortgage from a bank. It's basically a loan from a bank that helps you to pay for that house or that land, and that you slowly pay back to the bank. Okay, can somebody give me an example sentence using the word mortgage? Can anybody use the word mortgage in a sentence? So use the word mortgage in a sentence. Yes, the T is silent, Upik, in this case. Can somebody give me an example sentence with the word mortgage? Remember, example sentences should be interesting, should include you, and they should be complex or compound. So you need to use conjunctions like however, since, because, and yet. Farmers use the mortgaged land to cultivate crops. That's a good start, Shreya. Just remember, the example should include you to make it more interesting and to make it stronger in your memory. It should also be complex or compound. So farmers use the mortgaged land to cultivate the crops so they can quickly pay back their loan, would be a compound sentence. Mortgages are often for a very long time, Niraj. Absolutely. They can be for 20 or 25 years. Can someone give me an example sentence that includes you and is interesting? Keep it simple. After I finish my mortgage, I will take another one for buying a car. Okay, good. We don't take mortgages for buying cars. We just take loans. Cars do not need a mortgage. Okay, mortgages are for homes. Here, how about this one? I paid, let's be optimistic this morning. I paid back my mortgage in 1 year because I won the lottery. Okay, so I paid back my mortgage in 1 year because I won the lottery. So that is a very optimistic sentence. It's a great sentence. It's interesting. I will remember it for sure if I use it in this way. Now, if I create the example sentence, so now I understand this word, I can use this word. What should I do 2 or 3 days later? So what's an important step for good vocabulary learning 2 or 3 days after I create my original sentence? Very good, Ritu. So nice to see you in class. Same Ankit. Yeah, guys, so paraphrase. Paraphrasing is absolutely key to IELTS success, okay? So for those of you who are doing your IELTS exam this weekend, make sure to paraphrase as much as possible. You will see that paraphrasing will be one of the most important skills for high scores on your IELTS exam. So can someone paraphrase this for me? Can someone say this sentence in another way? I paid back my mortgage in 1 year because I won the lottery. Can someone paraphrase this sentence for me? Can someone say this sentence for me in another way? Remember, you can use synonyms, antonym negatives, descriptions, expressions. So there are several different ways to paraphrase. Hi, everyone who's joining. Welcome, welcome. We are doing reading, academic reading today, just starting off with a little bit of vocabulary. And we are in the third step here of paraphrasing the original sentence. Can someone paraphrase this for me, please? I paid back my mortgage in 1 year because I won the lottery. Okay, not bad, Aritas. I like it. Winning the lottery allowed me to pay back my mortgage in advance. I was able to pay back the money in 12 months. Sure, something like that. I managed to pay off my mortgage within 12 months as I won the lottery. Sure. I managed to pay off. Yeah, and pay off is a nice paraphrasing expression here. So I managed to pay off my mortgage after 12 months. As I won the lottery. Okay, very good. So that's great. That's a nice paraphrase there. Great, excellent. So original sentence, the paraphrase sentence, make sure you keep the original word. That's the only word that you do not paraphrase is the original vocabulary word. Mortgage in this case. Some nice paraphrasing here. We're using a subordinating conjunction because here. We're using a coordinating conjunction as in this case. So that's a nice paraphrase there as well. Very good. Okay, it includes you. It's interesting and it's compound complex. So now you will remember the word mortgage. You will be able to use it. There's some nice paraphrasing there, guys. Mohammed, Summit, those are some good paraphrasing as well. All right, let's look at one more word, nice and quick. Again, this is important for our reading, so today I'm just giving you the vocabulary because I want to cover a couple words that are going to be important so you understand this reading passage. The next word is crisis. What is the definition of the word crisis? Anybody know? Hi, Pulok. So what is the definition of the word crisis? Crisis. Yep, a crisis is a problem, Kara, absolutely. Can somebody give me a little bit of a deeper definition? It's possibly a jeopardy. It's possibly a disaster. It's possibly a shortage. A situation or time that is very dangerous or difficult. Yeah, that's a nice definition, Max. So it's a problematic situation. A time of difficulty or great challenge. Sure, that is a crisis. And the word form again here is a noun. All right, can someone give me an example with the word crisis? Can someone give me an example? And it can be a conflict, Crypto, that's right. It can be a conflict as well. Can someone give me an example with the word crisis where you include yourself? Make it either a complex or compound sentence. If you want to surprise me, make it with a correlative conjunction. For those of you who remember what a correlative conjunction is. Okay, Babu, that's a good start. A sudden crisis arose in the economy for us. Why? So give a reason. Make it a complex sentence. There was a water crisis. It is a drought, so you probably don't need to say that, Satvir. So there's a water crisis in my town because the hydro company dammed the river or something like that. Okay, make it a complex sentence. I went through a financial crisis after I paid all of my money for a bank loan. That's a nice one, Shreya. So you're kind of getting towards our reading topic today as well. So I went through a financial crisis because or after I paid back my bank loan. Sure. All right. Excellent. That's a good example. It includes you, and there is a subordinating conjunction in there. What is the subordinating conjunction in this example? So what did this student use for the subordinating conjunction? Anybody? Yeah, it's after. And what kind of subordinating conjunction is that? So subordinating conjunctions are grouped into 4 categories: cause and effect, compare and contrast. Which one is after here? It's time. That's right. It's a time conjunction. Okay, so very good. It's a time conjunction. It includes myself. It's an intense or scary situation, a financial crisis. It's a very common way to use the word crisis as financial crisis, unfortunately. And so it's used well. All right, so one last step here. Let's just paraphrase. Can someone paraphrase this sentence for me? So say the same sentence using different words, expressions, antonym negatives, synonyms, descriptive language. So somebody, can you please paraphrase this for me? Shoaib, I can't do PTE reading for you because we're doing academic IELTS. So that's really off topic. We're focusing on academic IELTS reading today. All right, so can somebody give me a paraphrase for this sentence? Say it another way. Remember, you can reverse the dependent and independent clause in this case as well. I passed the phase of my money crisis the moment I paid my bank loan. Yes, that's somewhat similar, although it is a little bit different, Ritu, so careful with that. Okay, I have to pay my bank loan, although the crisis... No, that's grammatically incorrect there, Sarah. You would want to start with although. All right, so let's... Okay, after paying off my bank loan, I went through a financial crisis. That's good. So there you're reversing the independent-dependent clause. After paying off my debt to the bank, I underwent a financial crisis. Okay, so here we go. After paying off my debt to the bank, I underwent a financial crisis. And again, just for quick review here, this is a very common mistake by students. Notice how I have a comma here in this case. There's a comma here because I have the dependent clause or the subordinating clause in the beginning of the sentence. So after paying off my debt to the bank, comma, I underwent a financial crisis. In this case, this is my independent or main clause, okay? So again, this is what you need to do when you're learning vocabulary. Give the definition of the word that you're learning, the word form, then write your sentence, an example that includes you, it's interesting, it's complex or compound, and then 3-4 days later, it's very important, make sure to paraphrase that sentence that you wrote, the original sentence. Only keep the vocabulary word the same, crisis, and then the rest of it, use synonyms, antonyms with negatives, descriptions to paraphrase as much as possible. The more you paraphrase, the higher your IELTS band score will be. I hope that is clear for everyone. Okay, so good. Now you know the word crisis. Now you know the word mortgage. These will be important words for our reading. Now we will look at the reading title. Okay, so remember that when you are in the reading section of IELTS, it is very, very important to read the title of the passage. And if they give you a picture, make sure you look at that picture for the passage so you get an idea of what it's about. Those little pictures can actually help you a lot to understand and predict information. Okay, so here the reading passage is causes of the American economic crisis. Okay, so I'm doing the reading section. I get to reading passage 3. Remember, the reading passages do increase in difficulty as you go along. Okay, and this is reading passage 3, so it will be one of the more difficult reading passages for sure. Now, you read this title. Always read the title, okay? Always read titles. All right, so you read the title, and then what do you do? Can anybody tell me what you should do after you read this title? Thank you, guys. I'm very happy that I'm being helpful for you. Our goal is for you to be successful on IELTS. And again, remember that these materials are coming from our website, aehelp.com, and you can get lots more help there. All right, so Ritu says critical thinking, visualization. Shilpa says critical thinking. Absolutely. So if I'm using good critical thinking, what do I need to do? So what am I doing if I'm doing good critical thinking here? Okay, so this is before I look at the questions, guys. I don't look at the questions yet. What should I do before I even look at the questions? I analyze this topic, right? So I should analyze this this title. What should I do? Not skimming. Don't scan the passage, guys. Skimming and scanning is not good strategy to get a score higher than 6. Okay? Anybody who thinks skimming and scanning is a good idea, just ask your teacher if that's what they do when they sit the IELTS and to get a score over 6. And any good teacher, especially a native English speaking teacher, will say, no, I'll read the passage and then I'll answer the questions. I'm not going to just skim and scan. Okay? So the first thing that I need to do is ask what, why, how, right? So critical thinking means analytic thinking. So I analyze information. So I think about the information as what, why, how. So ask what, why, how about the topic. So causes of the American economic crisis. My first question should be, what economic crisis? Okay, so anybody, what economic crisis are we talking about here? Yeah, exactly, Juan. So Juan David Gutierrez says, think about the knowledge you already have about this topic. Absolutely. That will help you a lot. And that's what we're doing here. So critical thinking about the reading passage means that you're using existing knowledge that you have. And that will really help you with your score. So what economic crisis are we talking about here? So Ankit says the market crash. Yeah, what market crash are we talking about? 2008. So yeah, exactly, guys. So see, you do have knowledge about this, and usually IELTS reading topics are topics that a lot of you already know much information about. So use the knowledge that's in your head as well as what's on the paper, okay? You're really going to do much better and get a much higher score. So what economic crisis are we talking about? The market crash of 2008. Yeah, so any of you who are predicting that this passage and this topic is about the market crash of 2008, yeah, you're right. That's absolutely what it is about, okay? So let's talk a little bit more about it. So the next logical question, of course, is why? So why did the market crash? Anybody from their own thinking? If you don't have any idea about the topic, Shreya, it will be definitely a little bit more difficult. You have to be even more active in your reading, okay? And we're going to get to active reading in a moment. So the next question is, why did it crash? Of course, the topic is the causes of the economic crisis. So here it's a really good question to ask why. Yeah, Jeff, the stock market. So the stock market crashed, the market crash of 2008, the stock market, yeah. So why did it crash? Anybody? And you can guess. You don't have to know economics and you don't have to know finances. You can simply just guess. Because of banks, Kara says. So because of banks. There was another good answer there. Improper paying of loans, Pradeep says. Improper paying of loans. Yeah, absolutely. Subprime loans because of shareholders as well, maybe. Who else is responsible, guys? Think about this critically. So, for the financial situation of a country, who is responsible? Banks are responsible for the financial situation of a country. Yeah, that's right, Ankit. The government is. Sure, government, guys. Not just people, not just banks, but the government. Because of the government. Sure. So great. So why did it crash? Probably because the banks did something wrong, probably because people did something wrong, the borrowers, and probably because the government did something wrong. Excellent. Now, when you're doing this, you're doing a great job, and this will really help you to understand this more difficult passage, which is more abstract. It's about economy. So it's a little bit less visible than physical topics, such as talking about a volcano or about pyramids or something. Okay, so the next question is how? So how did it crash? What happened? What do you think? What's a good answer for this? How? How did it crash? What actually happened? And again, visualize. So some of you who are following the classes, you said this to me, that you're visualizing, okay, which is great. You should be visualizing. So when you close your eyes, you should see this, not just hear this information or not just think of words, but you should see what happens. So people lost their jobs, probably. Okay, sure. Shares or markets dropped, sure. Okay, what else happens? There's a recession, maybe, absolutely. So a recession takes place. Okay, what happens to people? So people get unemployed, and if I can't pay my debts, if I can't pay my loans, if I can't pay my mortgage, guys, what happens? What happens if I'm unable to pay my mortgage? Dun dun dun. It's a terrible situation. Yes, that's right, Sate. People lose their homes, right? So people lose their homes, unfortunately. Right. So how does it crash? People can't pay back money that they owe to the banks. The banks can't pay money that they owe to other people that they borrow from as well, and governments. The market crashes, inflation happens, the value of money goes down, people lose their jobs, people lose their homes, people get into bankruptcy situations. That's right. Good. So now you're collecting all of this information in your head. Now you're ready to do the reading, okay? And so we are going to do this reading together, and we're using some new technology for this. So just be patient with me. This is me trying out this technology as well. So let me just turn on this projector. Now you will see me disappear here because I will be backlit. So I will become a shadow here pretty quickly, but that's okay. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I will be here, and I will have to adjust the camera a little bit for the lighting as well. This technology that I'm using, it's thanks to your support. So for those of you who are buying the courses and also sponsoring us on Super Chat, thank you very much. When you buy our courses and when you sponsor us, we're able to buy new technology and use new technology, which helps you to learn and which helps us to teach you even more. So just give me a moment here while I open up this reading for us. This is our TOEFL website, so we're going to a different website here. Okay.
Welcome to Academic IELTS Success, world leaders in IELTS skills and strategies to score over 7.
I got 7.5 on the IELTS and now I'm studying international business, thanks to AE Hub.
I got 7.5 on the IELTS exam and I study computer science right now.
So just a moment, guys.
I have IELTS with 7.5 and I'm studying accounting.
Okay. Okay, guys, so I'm just loading up our website here. This is our academic IELTS help website, and I am going to be able to show you the reading here. So just give me one moment while I set this up for you. This will just take me a minute. Just have to adjust it so you can see the image clearly. Okay, so when you go to our website, you are asked to log in. I'm just going to use my account here to log on. Give me one moment. Okay, so after you log on, you have all of your course materials. And can everybody see that okay right now? Okay, the passage is coming up, so just be a little bit patient, Harky. We are using this passage from our full course. As you notice, the full course has our key strategy lessons, listening section, and then here we go with the passage. So there are 6 full practice exams here, and there are also 40 full lesson videos in here as well. So here is the causes of the American economic crisis. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to read. We're not going to look at the questions yet. We will look at the questions after we read the passage. There is audio read-along here for you. So when you're using our website, make sure to use the audio that comes with it. So let's go to the next one here. Can everybody see this okay? Okay, and can everybody read that okay? All right, so let's read the passage first, and then we'll go back and go through each paragraph section by section. Here we go.
When discussing the causes of the late 2000s American subprime mortgage crisis, it is easy to lay all the blame on the banks, but it is incorrect to claim innocent the individual homebuyers involved, as well as the American government as a whole. There are many instances in the years leading up to the crisis where moral obligations failed to be met. For the homebuyers, it is a case of ignoring a scenario which was, upon deeper inspection, too good to be true. For the bankers, it was falling prey to their own laissez-faire loaning policies, lending without giving much interest to the mandates required of the borrower. For the government, it was instituting such a laissez-faire system in the first place, free of regulatory checks and balances.
Okay, guys, so I see that some of you say you can't hear it. The audio is coming from the projector, so I think what we'll do is we'll get some speakers for you next time here. It's quite loud for me, actually, but the microphone is close to my head, so that's probably why you don't hear it, because the mic is sensitive to my voice. But anyway, so just keep reading. This is the speed that you need to read. Now, of course, what you need to ask here is, what is this paragraph about? So can anybody tell me what this paragraph is about? So what is this paragraph about? Can anyone tell me what this paragraph is about? Yeah, I'll turn up the volume, guys, so I'll try to fix the sound. But again, the sound is coming from the projector, so I'll have to pick up some speakers so that I can get you better sound for tomorrow. Yeah, so it's about the subprime mortgage crisis. Very nice full answer there, Ankit. So it's about the subprime mortgage crisis. Why is it talking about this? So why is this paragraph introducing this idea of the crisis? Can anybody tell me why? Yes, Shaha, you're right. It's identifying the causes of the crisis. So it's introducing the idea of the crisis, and it's trying to identify what caused it. And yes, it affected people on a large scale. So very good. That's all in the paragraph there. Okay, and how? So how does it explain these problems? Can anybody tell me how it explains these problems? Yes, so Tanvir, you're right. There's something wrong with the American financial system, and it identifies some of these problems in the American system. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph, and let's read this.
If a person falls prey to an email scam, the blame is deservedly placed on the hapless person. Society feels pity for them, but nobody feels the government should reimburse the individual for their lack of caution. The person in this scenario has affected no one but themselves. If a person falls prey to a too-good-to-be-true subprime mortgage and ends up bankrupt, he or she is not just hurting themselves, they are also hurting society, because that debt inevitably rests with the populace.
Okay, so what is this paragraph talking about? Can anybody tell me what this paragraph is talking about? So here we're doing active reading, which is critical reading, looking at each paragraph from a what, why, how perspective. And you really want to practice this at home. So what is this paragraph talking about? Can anybody tell me what this paragraph is talking about? Yeah, absolutely. Amazing Video says it's talking about falling prey to a scam or to a bad system. Okay. Why is it talking about this? So it's talking about falling prey to a scam. It's talking about falling prey to something that's too good to be true. So why is it talking about this? Why is it talking about falling prey to a scam? Why talk about this? What are we trying to figure out? It's important here. I don't see the answer yet. Okay, there's a key word here in this part. You can see the word blame. Okay? Yeah, we're looking at who to blame, right? So the question this paragraph is trying to figure out is who do we blame when someone falls prey to a scam? Do we blame the person for not being clever, not being smart? Do we blame the others who are creating the scam? So who is to blame? And how does the paragraph address this idea? So how does the paragraph talk about the blame? Can anybody tell me, how does the paragraph talk about understanding blaming a person? Yeah, so how does the paragraph address this question of who is responsible? It gives examples, right? It gives the example of an email scam, and it gives the example of bankruptcy, right? So of the topic of this, which is the subprime mortgage. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph here. So again, this is coming from our website, aidhelp.com.
While a person has no social responsibility to act a certain way in the case of the email scam, a person does have a social obligation when it comes to actions that can hurt society, such as taking on a subprime mortgage. The counter-argument here is that people perceive banks as possessing a certain level of trustworthiness, and that it is unreasonable to expect people to have their too good to be true radar active when dealing with banks. Nevertheless, people do have an ethical obligation to be aware of pitfalls, and being told it's okay by trustworthy institutions is simply not a sufficient excuse.
Okay, so what is this paragraph talking about? What is this paragraph talking about? Can somebody tell me? Yeah, it's talking about having social responsibility. Very nice job, Amazing Videos. That's a second excellent answer. So it's about having social responsibility. Why? Why is the paragraph talking about social responsibility? Why is it talking about social responsibility? Why is it talking about that? Can anybody answer that question? Yes, because our actions or the actions of banks hurt society, right? So we have a social responsibility because mortgage lending doesn't just hurt an individual, it hurts the entire society. Okay? How? How is this paragraph talking about this idea of social responsibility? Yeah, Tanvir, you have the right answer there. So you can't put 100% trust on the banks, and you can't just expect banks to be completely responsible for the type of lending that they do, right? Okay, very good. Let's keep going here.
Banks have a responsibility to protect their customers and to look out for the general economic health of not just their company, but of the entire industry. The American banks failed in these considerations in each of these regards. First, they offered mortgages to millions of ill-qualified buyers who were clearly not going to be able to fulfill the requirements of the mortgage to make the loans viable. Individual lenders acted selfishly, exploiting very relaxed lending policies to benefit their own finances. Second, banks failed to look after the health of their own companies. This is not a failure of individual bankers, but a failure of those in management positions. Many US companies that need a multi-billion-dollar bailout are an unmitigated disaster.
Okay, so again, what is this paragraph talking about? So what is this paragraph talking about? The responsibility of banks, Rostislav, Garkov, very good. Yeah, the responsibility of the banks and the failure of the banks' responsibility. That's the Y answer, Ridmita. Okay, how did the banks fail the American public? Did anybody catch that? Why did they fail? So how? Anybody? How did the banks fail in their responsibility? So the what is the responsibility of the banks. The why is because they need to protect the American public. The how is they did not do that because they offered mortgages to millions of people who were not able to pay back those mortgages, weren't really qualified. Yes, they gave loans to weak customers. Exactly, guys. So next paragraph here.
Although this failure falls more in line with the email scam, that is to say, a failure which is not a social failure, but a business failure, the social failure lies in the bank's obligations to the entire industry and the economy as a whole. Each bank is responsible for a small piece of the economic pie. If one bank fails, it appears as a blip on the radar. However, with each individual failure, the threshold for failure for the remaining companies is lowered. It is in this sense that companies have a moral obligation to do good business, because if they do not, they raise the chances of bankruptcy for each of their competitors and the economy as a whole. Eventually, the threshold of failure is so low that almost all lending has to cease, and a recession is ignited.
Okay, so what is this paragraph talking about? Can anybody tell me what this paragraph is talking about? Not business failure, Kathy, but more specifically, Shilpa, bank failure. Yeah, it's talking about bank failure. Why is it talking about bank failure? Yes, and you're right. It's talking about how one bank failure affects another. Again, remember, guys, this is a reading passage 3, so this is a little bit more difficult. Don't panic. It's okay. We'll go through it step by step. Yeah, so say that's right. It's talking about this because banks work in cooperation with each other. So they depend on each other. So how do they work? What does it explain here? How do they actually work? So one's failure affects another, and eventually what happens? So when one keeps failing, The other one keeps failing, and eventually what happens? It's like a domino effect, right? Exactly. I just said that, Ustav, as you wrote it. So very good. Yeah, it's a domino effect. And eventually there is bankruptcy and a recession is ignited, right? Okay. Let's go to the next one here.
In this investigation of blame placing, arguably the body who holds the most responsibility is the American government. The truth is that if people are not protected from themselves by the government, society cannot function well. The wholly free market is akin to an economic version of Hobbes' state of nature. People acting like tigers and bears, trying to get each other's money. Society does not work optimally when it pays overwhelming dividends for people who act selfishly. It takes regulation in economic policy to force people into acting in society's best interests. One of the duties of a government is to protect its citizens from each other. And in this case, the American government has failed catastrophically.
Okay, so here, what is the paragraph talking about? Anybody? Yeah, it's talking about the American government. And why is it talking about the American government? Because the American government failed its people catastrophically here. Okay, how did the American government fail the people? How did the American government fail the people in this case? Anybody? So how? How did the government fail? So it's talking about the government. The reason it's talking about the government is because it failed in its responsibility. And how did it fail? It didn't protect the people. How did it not protect the people? What did the government not do? So it did not protect its citizens from each other by doing what? Good luck, Nari, on your exam tomorrow. Yeah, lack of policy. Saksura, very good. So there's lack of regulation and lack of policy on the side of the American government to protect people from each other, right? So that's where the American government failed. All right.
Defenders of the free market will claim that this recession is simply a temporary bump in the road for what is arguably the greatest economic power in world history. They will claim that the free market is in the best interests of everyone, despite its rather unsightly undercarriage. In response, it can be argued that the bumps in the road are symptomatic of a system in need of healing by means of regulation. Unfortunately, American culture is such that any regulation is seen as government interference in private affairs, and such intervention conflicts with American ideals. Economics is not the only arena where this belief system is played out. Americans continue to allow their poorest citizens to live without proper health care, and they put the burden of the cost of higher education directly on students. Many European countries fully subsidize higher education.
Okay, so what is this paragraph talking about? What is this paragraph talking about? Anybody? It's talking about the free market. Yeah, Rostislav. Yeah, that's a good idea. It's talking about American ideals. Tanvir, right. Yeah, absolutely. So it's talking about the American system of economics. To be more exact, it's talking about the American system of economics. Why is it talking about the American system of economics? American culture, Shreya, is a good way to think about it. American economic culture. Why is it talking about the American economic culture? Why? Why talk about this American? Because it's failing. Very good, Ustav. Yes, because it's failing. Why is it failing? Because there are no regulations. Yes, exactly. So there's a lack of regulations. And because there's a lack of regulations, there are a lot of negatives, such as not subsidizing or not helping the poor. It's built for the wealthy and not built for the poor. Okay.
Until this distaste for government intervention is cast aside, events like the subprime mortgage crisis will continue to occur. Whether they are merely bumps on the economic road or signs of forthcoming systemic collapse. In both cases, the government has failed to fulfill their role to save the citizens from themselves. In regard to subprime mortgages, regulation of banking is like an insurance policy for the economy. It may lower profits, insurance policies cost money, but it smooths out the bumps in the road. As long as the American government continues to turn a blind eye to these insurance policies, they will continue to put the social well-being of its citizens at risk.
All right. What is this paragraph talking about? Anybody catch what this paragraph is talking about? Yeah, it's talking about the government not fulfilling its role. Sure, it's talking, very good, Saksura. It's talking about the importance of insurance policies. Why is it talking about the importance of the insurance policies? Or Shreya, that's a good way to put it as well, the lack of insurance policies. Why is it talking about the insurance policies? Anyone? Why is it talking about the insurance policy? Because it is a way to protect society. Yeah, Saksura, very good. So Saksura, you got good critical thinking going on, some nice answers. Yeah, it's a way of minimizing risk. It's a type of security. That's right. So again, guys, when you're doing reading and you get to a difficult IELTS Task 3 reading like this one, you don't have to understand every word, okay? Don't panic. The main idea is for you to understand the message, the important parts of the message, the what, why, how. And as long as you can do that, you can still get a great score, okay? So again, don't panic. Okay, so that's the end of this reading passage, and now we will look at the questions that go with the reading passage, okay? So just give me a moment. I'm going to turn off our projector and reappear for you here. Okay, just give me a second. I just have to adjust my camera setting so that you can see me. All right, I am back. So again, you can see the questions in the stream description for this reading passage. And let's look at those together. Okay, so the first set of questions is a yes, no, not given. Okay, and you can see this in the stream description. All right, so questions are in the stream description. Now, we talked about the strategy of yes, no, not given, and true, false, not given questions. Should I read a yes, no, not given and true, false, not given questions before I read the passage? So should I read this type of true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given question before the passage? Okay, Sate says no, and Rostislav says no. Akan says no. Okay, everybody who says no is correct. Why should I not read this type of question before the passage? So why is it a bad idea to read this type of question before the passage? Why is that a bad idea? Does anybody remember from past lessons? So those of you who follow us, yeah, it's wasting your time, is absolutely right. It's distracting for us. It's confusing for us. Why? Why is it confusing? Why is it wasting time? Why is it distracting? Because you might only search for those topics. That's true. There's also another very good reason. Because the sentence might not be there, is what ProSopha said. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, true, false, not given means that some of the answers are false information. Some of it is not given information. So you're reading wrong information that's not in the passage. That can be confusing for your brain. Your brain doesn't separate information in a linear way. So if you read this type of question before the passage, you can actually get confused and think that you read it in the passage. So it's not a good idea to read this type of question before the passage, okay? Do not read true, false, not given, yes, no, not given before the passage, okay? Do not read these before the passage. And you have to read it again and again. So there's a much better strategy for this. I showed you that strategy before. Question 27. Those that fall for common scams deserve to be compensated by society. So if you look at the stream description, question number 27. Let's have a look at that. Okay. The question says, those that fall for common scams deserve to be compensated by society. What should I do? When I read this question, what do I need to do? This is a review for some of you. What's the first question I should ask myself? So, those that fall for common scams deserve to be compensated by society. We read about this. Don't scan. Okay, step number one, remember guys, for true, false, not given, the first question that you should ask yourself is this important? Okay, so is it important to know whether or not we should give a person money if they fall for a scam? Is it important for this passage? We read the passage, we read about scams, so is it important who should be responsible for the scam? Is it important? Yes, absolutely, okay? So the answer here is yes. So yes, it is important, okay? Very good. So the next question then is it true? So is it true that when somebody falls for an email scam, that other people should give back that money to that person? Is it true? Should I give money to a person who falls for an email scam? Oh, I'm sorry that, John, you fell for this email scam. Here's some money for you. Should I give them the money? No, of course not, guys. So there's lots of you saying no. Absolutely not. Why am I responsible? I'm not responsible if John fell for the email scam. So is it true? No, it's false, okay? So be careful here because the questions are yes, no, not given, not true, false, not given. So make sure you answer no. So the answer to this question then is no, okay? So those of you who realize that now, very good, okay? The answer is no. So 27, answer is no, all right? Does that make sense? Okay, so again, this is a bit of review. I talked about yes, no, not given questions before. The answer here is no. And again, you can see this strategy on our website. So where I showed you the reading passage, you can go there and review this type of reading strategy when you join our course. Okay, so 27 is no. Let's go to the next question, number 28. Okay, and the questions are in the stream. I'll put that up at the top. So, okay. So questions in stream description. Okay, so 27, the answer is no. Let's go to 28. Okay, question 28. Many homeowners are too young and irresponsible. Okay, you guys are very quick now for answering these questions, and that's great. I'm very happy to see that you are answering quickly. So, why is it not given? Okay, so yes, okay, you got it. The answer is not given. Why is it not given? Why is it not given, guys? Why is this information not given? Tell me that. So I'm very happy to see how quickly you're all able to answer this, but why is it not given? Okay, Akhan says that because they're youngsters. So the question here, remember how you solve the true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given. Is it important for the passage how old the person borrowing the money is? So is it important to know how old the person is? Yeah, exactly. So if you ask yourself these logical questions, right? Is it important for this passage to know how old the person who is borrowing the money is? Then we realize, no, it doesn't matter. It can be a young person, it can be an old person, it can be a middle-aged person. It doesn't matter. So this is not going to be given, okay? So it's a not given here. All right. So again, remember your logical questions for true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given. First question is it important for the passage? If it's not important for the passage or the topic, it's not given. If it's important for the passage, then you ask yourself, is it true or is it false? If it's true, then it's going to be true or yes. If it's not true, then it's going to be false or it's going to be a no, okay? This strategy is very effective for this type of question. Let's go to 29. So 29, society trusts the banking system. Society trusts the banking system. Okay, Ustav says, yes, they trust the banks blindly. Yeah, again, is this information important for this topic? So is it important for the topic? Yes, it is. Do people trust the banks blindly? Do we believe that when the bank says, hey, this is what you get? Great, thank you. Absolutely. Yes, it is. So, yes, absolutely. Okay. Is it important for the topic? Yes, it's important for the topic. Is it true that society trusts the banks? Yes, society definitely trusts the banks. So the answer will be yes. Does that make sense? So the strategy that I'm giving you, does everybody understand how I'm using this logic to come out with these answers? So notice that I don't need to understand the passage 100%. I don't need to understand every word in this passage. I just have to understand the main ideas and then use logic to figure out the rest. I'm not skimming and scanning. I'm not searching for answers. I'm being much more strategic, much more calm. Yes, absolutely, Ustav. It's about focusing in on those key words. And it's not about scanning or skimming. So you don't scam or skim for these key words, but you actually read it because that way it's much more clear. All right, number 30. Home buyers have an ethical obligation to beware of trustworthy institutions. Number 30. Home buyers have an ethical obligation to beware of trustworthy institutions. Is it important for the topic of this economic crisis, the responsibility of home buyers? So is the responsibility of home buyers important for this topic? Yes, it is. Okay. If it is, Ustav, if it's important, it's going to be yes or no. Okay. It will be a yes or no. So is the responsibility of the home buyer important for this topic? Yes, it is. It's very important, guys. It's a very important one. So don't think not given. Okay. You have to realize here that this is really important for this topic. So it's important for the topic. Is it true? Home buyers have an obligation. So they should be aware of these trustworthy institutions. Is that true? Okay, IELTS doesn't lie. It's going to give you true facts. Yes, absolutely. In a couple different paragraphs, this passage says that it's important for home buyers to be cautious of the trustworthy institutions like governments or banks. So then this will be a yes. Okay, so the correct answers for this section, for the yes, no, not given, is no, not given, yes, and yes. All right, if you got these so far, then you have 100% and you're correct. Okay, again, so follow this strategy for yes, no, not given. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. Yeah, trustworthy here, the quote marks means like the banks or the government. So the quotation marks is helping to paraphrase banks and governments. All right, guys, let's go on to the next set of questions, 31, 32, and 33. Okay, so question number 31. So this is matching sentence endings. And for this one, there are a couple of important strategies that you can use as well. Okay, let's look at question number 31. So question 31 says, banks have a responsibility to. Okay, before I give this answer, so before I give the answer A, B, C, or D, the first step in sentence completion is don't look at the answers, okay? But before you do that, just try to give the answer yourself. So before you look at the possible answers, try to finish the sentence on your own from the reading passage. So again, with this type of question, you don't want to read it before the passage because there's a lot of extra information. So read this type of question after the passage and finish the sentence on your own. So don't choose the answer. So Sarah says protect their customers. Banks have a responsibility to protect their customers. That's a good way to finish this sentence. What else do banks have responsibility to do? Okay, to protect the banking system, sure. So protect their customers, protect their banking system. Responsibility to play a small part in the economic picture, sure. To protect their own company. So finish it on your own. To protect each other. What else should I do? If I'm a bank and I'm giving out loans, I'm giving out mortgages, what do I need to be careful of? Yeah, I need to be careful to protect my customers, so I need to make sure that I'm lending money responsibly. So I'm assessing the customers who I'm giving money to. So now I look at the answers and I see which one matches. So the breathing room for failure is too low. That lending has to stop. That doesn't even make sense. To reassure the people that it's okay to borrow money, that's kind of weird. Instructing their employees to lend to ill-qualified buyers, that's the opposite, right? They're a small part of the big picture. Protect the industry they are a part of. The banks have to receive a bailout for the government. E, absolutely. So those of you who answered E, you answered correctly. They have a responsibility to the industry that they're a part of, to the other banks. It's the only one that makes sense. Okay, let's go to 32. So each bank is responsible for what? So each bank is responsible for okay, those of you who answered D are correct. Again, if we look at that, they're a small part of the big economic picture. D is the correct answer here. guys. If you connect the two, it's the only one that makes sense. So each bank is responsible for their small part of the big economic picture. Remember, there's a whole paragraph that talks about how when one small bank fails, then another one fails and another one fails, and it's a domino effect. So as long as you understood the main point of that paragraph, you should get the answer is D here. Okay, number 33. A recession is started when? Finish it on your own. Don't look at the answers. When is a recession started? When is a recession started? Stop giving answers, guys. Don't give me the answer. Just finish it on your own. When is the recession started? This should be an easy answer because most of you should know when a recession is started. So how does a recession work? How does it start? When the value of money decreases. And when does the value of money decrease? When people can't pay loans. And if people can't pay loans, then what happens? People stop lending, right? So you can't pay loans, you stop lending, the value of money decreases. So the answer is A. So recession starts when lending stops because the value of money immediately starts to decrease. So the answers are 31E, 32D, 33A. Again, the strategy for this type of question is complete the sentence on your own first and then search for the best match, okay? So the strategy here that you can use, one of the strategies, is search. So the strategy is complete the sentence from your own knowledge then look for the matching answer. Okay, so often what I see students doing is they just start searching for the answer. So they start searching for the answer right away. Students do this for multiple choice questions also. Don't start searching for the answer right away. Before you start searching for the correct letter or the correct answer, try to use your own mind, try to use your own knowledge to complete the sentence or to answer the multiple choice question, and then look for the best match that is the same or similar to what your answer was. If your answer is completely different and you can't find the match, then you have to be very careful because something is wrong, okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Is that strategy clear of using your own information and then finding the matching answer? Is that a clear idea for everyone? Okay. Don't just look at the answers right away, because if you answer the question on the choices, that can actually confuse you. So that can mess you up. Okay. So think about it in your own mind first. Okay. So again, Harky, and for those of you who aren't clear on this, so one more time, the strategy is when you see a sentence completion, so you see something like banks have a responsibility, then finish the sentence with your own idea from the passage, from your own information that you got from the passage, and then look for the answer that's the closest or that matches with your idea. Okay? Miguel, you have to read everything, and you have to read everything in about 10 minutes. the bigger waste of time is skimming and scanning. I watched many students do this. Students who are skimming and scanning actually waste way more time because they often read the passage 5 times and they never completely read it. So they're just flipping pages. I've actually had students where I had 2 students, one of them skimming and scanning, one of them just reading the passage, and the student reading the passage was much more calm. They read the passage clearly in about 10 minutes, and they calmly answered the questions and got a much better score than the other student who was the same level, and they just kept flipping the pages like a crazy person and searching for answers like a crazy person, and they actually ran out of time faster. So skimming and scanning is less time efficient, okay? Especially when you are looking for a score over 6. Skimming and scanning works for a score under 6, but it doesn't work for a score over 6. Does anybody know why? Why does scanning and scanning and skimming, why does that not work for a score higher than 6? Anybody know the answer to this question? Why is it a bad strategy to get a score over 6, to try to search for answers? Yes, Saksura, you're absolutely right. You will not find the exact word. Yes, because band scores over 6 are paraphrased. Very good, Ankit. Yeah, so, and I think some of you are following these lessons have maybe heard me say this already. The people who make the IELTS exams, they're not using the same word in the passage as the question. They're paraphrasing. They're using expressions. They're changing the grammar. They're changing it to phrasal verbs, to synonyms, antonyms. So you won't find that word. You won't even find the same grammar. Okay, so it won't work to try to search for the keyword. Okay, you won't find the keyword, Shilpa. You can't find the keyword because it's not the same keyword. It's paraphrased. It's changed. Okay, let's look at the next questions. So the next one is a paragraph completion question. Let's see this paragraph here. So, paragraph completion, there are a lot of different strategies for this. I'm not going to go into detailed strategy for paragraph completion. We will just focus mostly on the answers. And you have the choices here. Sometimes the choices are given, sometimes they are not. So here the choices are from A to J. Let's read first. Again, don't look at the choices. Just read, put the word in that you think is the best, and then find the match. So the American government's role. It is the American government which is arguably most responsible for the economic crisis. In order to something properly, people must be sheltered from possible problems caused by something. In order to what? Now, what do you think goes in there? In order to function properly, yeah, so in order to work properly or function properly. And again, you should almost get this word without even looking at the choices. So function is the correct one for 34. So in order to function properly, people must be sheltered from possible problems created by what? So obviously created by a noun, right? Yeah, Usta, very good. Remember, the passage talks about people become their own biggest problem, right? So people become their own biggest problem. Again, remember the passage. The passage says that when that government protects people from other people, from themselves, right? So themselves, D. And in the answer sheet, you only need to give the letter. You don't write the word, you just write the letter H, okay? In this case, the letter is D, themselves. Okay, so you only have to write the letter, do not write the word. All right, let's keep going. Regulation is required in any society in order to coerce means convince, people into acting for the benefit of what? So we need to convince people to act for the benefit of what? Yeah, if it's good for you, it's good for me. If it's good for everyone, it's good for me. If it's bad for everyone, it will eventually be bad for me. That's why greed is terrible in society, because greed eventually will cost everyone, right? So everyone, A. Yeah, again, just use clear, simple logic, answer on your own, and then choose the matching answer. Government is in place to serve its citizens. On the radar of American supremacy, gotta jump back here. Government is in place to serve its citizens, and in this case, it has failed. Apologists will say that the recession is just a what? The recession is just a what? On the radar of American supremacy. Is just a blip. Yeah, this is actually given in the passage. So if you're scanning and skimming the passage, you'll get this one correct, but that will be 1 from 10, okay? So, and that's not enough, all right? It's actually better to get this one wrong, if anything, and get the other ones correct. So E is the correct answer. It's blip, okay? Let's go to 38. So a blip on the radar. Blip just means a very brief, small, short something, like a bloop, okay? That's a blip. So on the radar of American supremacy, while others say that such bumps on the road are something of serious problems. So it's not just a blip, but it's a what of a serious problem? Signs, yeah, absolutely. It's a sign of a serious problem. It's an indication of a serious problem. So the correct letter there is I. 39. Regulation is the solution to the problem, but the American something of independence and small governments will be very difficult to crack. What's the answer here? Why are we not able to change this? Because of the American culture. That's right, guys. So the American system, right? If I complete this blank, I would say system. The closest word to system here is culture, because culture is the system of a group of people. So F is the correct answer here, okay? So H, D, A, E, I, F. It's really important that you do a good job to answer this paragraph completion question, because you can see that it's usually worth a lot of scores. So this one's worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's almost half of the scores for this reading passage. So you really have to focus to get this correct. And again, it's much easier to get these types of questions correct when you read the whole passage, okay? All right, let's go to the last question for this passage. It's a multiple choice one, so it's choose the correct letter. Which of the following phrases best describes the main aim of reading passage 3? And we almost answered this question even before we started reading. So question number 40. What is the main aim of this passage? Before you read the answers, what is the main aim of this passage? Anybody? Before you give your answers, guys, so before you read and give an answer, try to answer it on your own. What is the main aim of this passage? What's the main goal? In your own words. What does this passage want to explain to the reader? What's the message? Yeah, it's about responsibility, right? Who is responsible for the mortgage crisis? So who is responsible for the mortgage crisis? Who is responsible? Everyone is responsible for the mortgage crisis. Who is everyone? Who is everyone? Who is everyone? According to this passage, who is everyone that's responsible for the crisis? The American government, the people, yes, that's right, Prosafa, and the banks. Yeah, so the government, the people, and the banks. So this passage is telling us that everyone is responsible for the American crisis, including the people who are borrowing money they can't pay back, the banks who are lending money to people that can't pay it back, and the government who's not supervising the people or the banks. Which answer is the closest match? And I see a lot of you saying C, to suggest that every person and company needs to be responsible for each other. Yeah, absolutely. That is the closest answer to what we just said. So C is the closest answer to what we said. It is the correct answer. All right. So again, guys, lots of really good strategies, real strategies to help you get good scores in IELTS. Okay, make sure to study these strategies. The website I was using today is www.aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com. There are 6 full practice exams with these kinds of materials in there. All of the strategies are clearly explained on our website for the academic IELTS. You have 40 high definition lesson videos, and you have a full interactive course that you saw me use. It has lots of audio for the reading, audio for the listening, audio for the speaking. We have some of the best rates in the world to help you pass your IELTS exam. So please visit us there. Join us, join our full course. It was awesome teaching you today. It was my pleasure to help you out and go through this reading passage with you. Anybody have any questions before I say my goodbye? Again, you can sponsor us with Super Chat. If you like this live lesson, click on the little money sign. Any questions? And we will be using this technology that you saw today to do graphs and diagrams and charts for task 1. Yep, there will be class tomorrow, Junu, same time. So I will be back tomorrow. If you don't understand the title of the reading, Ivan, you are in big trouble. Then I suggest going to another reading section and come back to that reading later. So Ivan, again, that's a good question. If you don't understand the title, you could be in trouble. Read the first sentence of the first paragraph. That should also give you an idea. If you still don't know, go to a different reading passage first. You can use idioms in speaking, Shreya. Don't use it in writing. It's better not to use them in writing. Ankit, just 1.5 hours today. Yeah, that's a full class. It's not about time. It's about completing the idea. I don't want to go into a new idea because then it will be far too long. Tomorrow, 14:30 London time. A lot of passages do come from current topics, Utsav. So it is current science, it is current knowledge. So it should be up-to-date information, and it should be accurate according to our current understanding of the world. So that's a good question, Utsav. Yes, IELTS topics are mostly current topics and topics covered in school, junior high school types of topics. You can use informal words in speaking, Ritu, like wanna and gonna. Absolutely. Just make sure that you use them correctly. Anwar, yes, this lesson is recorded, and about 1 hour after I'm finished, it's available on our channel. So when you subscribe to the channel, you can go back and watch these live lessons. Yeah. All right, guys, thank you again so much for watching. Watch again tomorrow. We will have an interesting topic for you. Again, go to aehelp.com for academic IELTS. If you're studying general IELTS, go to gieltshelp.com. There's a big course there, lots of practice exams, videos. You can contact us. You can send us your writing for marking. It was my pleasure to teach you today. I wish all of you the best of luck on your IELTS exam this weekend, who are doing it this weekend. I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye for now. Have a great day or a great night, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.